Welcome back to Let's Get Real, chatting with Catherine, and part 2 of our interview with Rachel White Seeing Owl. Let's get started. I heard this expressed the other day. How can I add value? And I thought that was a pretty amazing.
That one too.
Yeah.
That one too.
Because, I mean, if you're helping other people, you're adding value to their life. I mean, it can be as simple as smiling at someone, you know, a stranger in the street. Just
I do all day long.
Yeah.
I do all day long. And I'm going to share with what we forget is that, let's suppose you're just walking down the street and you smile at someone. Don't forget someone's smiling at you. So your needs are getting met. Does this sound like foo-foo dust and airy-fairy? Yeah?
No, actually it doesn't. It doesn't to me.
But if you look at what we've been doing, has that been working for us? No.
Well, everybody with their head down trying to get to wherever they're going is so important. I've often wondered that on the highway, you know, someone's in such a hurry to get past you and they get, you know, a minute ahead of you at a light, and you wonder, where are you going? That is so important, you know. And I usually tell my passengers that whoever's important to me is with me, and that's it.
Exactly. You know, I have a friend on the Kwantlen Nation here, very close to where I live. And he and I were driving somewhere, and people were speeding past me and up to the red light. And he just turned to me and he said, "They sure want to meet God faster."
Yes, exactly. The whole concept of death is something that a lot of people have a fear of, which of course we know is ego. I mean, the body is going to die, but the spirit never will. So our fear about that is I feel like it's something that has been programmed into us, because it's kind of like saying you only have this amount of time to get your lesson done, and so it's like the deadline, you know, and we tend to like deadlines. But can people work with you to, you know, let go of some of their fears, like? Because sometimes it's not actually a fear of death, it's a fear of life.
That is true. It's more of the fear of the unknown.
Right.
And human beings are always scared of what they don't know about. That's where prejudice comes from.
Yes.
That's where many of our spoken and acting out and all of that is, we don't know what this looks like, so I'll be scared of it. So, you know, I help people with dog training as well, Catherine, and it's, I'll bite you before you bite me. I'll bark loud to keep fear away because I don't know what you're going to do.
Well, that's a very good analogy. I mean, a small dog will bark more than a big dog because they know they're small.
There's that, and we let small dogs away with a lot more things we wouldn't let a big dog away with.
Right.
Only because we can pick them up. And I can do a whole nother discussion about dog training.
Well, that would be for another show for sure.
You bet.
But today
Don't forget, the dog is spelled God backwards.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've got a little dog. He'd be really happy to hear that.
So let's have some more fun here.
Okay.
All your listeners, let's take a deep breath again and blow out on Mother Earth. And I'm going to have you say this 3 times and see how this feels. You ready?
Out loud or in my head?
No, out loud.
Okay.
The universe wants to hear you.
Okay.
So, you ready?
Yes.
Just repeat after me. I am God.
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 How does it feel?
Well, I'm going to be really honest with you. That has been the hardest thing for me to say. I can say I'm a spark of the divine. I can say I am part of the Creator. I can say all of those things. But saying I am God, I know it has old religious stuff in there that is really deep, really deep.
But try this idea on.
Okay.
Is the tree a tree without leaves?
Yes. Well,
Really?
I guess not really. No, when you think about it.
Wouldn't the tree be dead?
It'd be dead. Yes, that's right. You're right. You're right. The tree would be dead without the leaves.
So are the leaves leaves without a tree?
Oh. Well, no, they'd be dead.
So, when I put the seed in the ground, I eat an apple and I take a seed and I put it in the ground and I nurture it and it has sun and water and soil and it grows into a tree. In the seed is the tree and in the tree is the seed. Would you agree with that?
Yes, yes, yes.
So, if I am a reflection and all my brothers and sisters and beings and trees and ocean and rocks are part of God, then if God is in me, am I not in God, and are we not one?
Yes, I absolutely get that. I get the concept. I get it. I even get it in my heart. My limitation has come from the sentence, the word.
Yes. Try this on. I had a client who could not even say the word God a few years ago. He could not say the word God.
I believe that. I believe that is
because the stories, we've been told a story for centuries. Some man, originally a patriarchal figure, stood up and said, you can't talk to God until you go through me.
Yes.
And it's been like that for centuries. And we're not putting up with it anymore.
No, and you said something earlier which I wanted about the masculine, feminine energy, and I've just really noticed the feminine has been so oppressed. I'm going to say oppressed for centuries on this planet, and I don't just mean women. I mean the feminine energy, and it feels like that is what, since January, I particularly have noticed it's come back. It's not just coming back in a soft, prissy kind of way. It's coming back with full force.
Absolutely.
And it was really funny because I'll tell you this. I was working on something and I kept hearing Shania Twain's song, I Feel Like a Woman, and I couldn't stop from singing it in my head. And I don't really sing, but this was so powerful. And I thought, yeah, I really do. I feel like a woman. And I don't think I was ever comfortable really feeling safe to say that, for years. And there was an interview she did, and she was talking about when a woman shakes her booty up on stage, it's, frowned upon and blah, blah, blah. But when a man does it, it's okay. And I was thinking about Mother Earth, and I thought, wow, when she wants to shake her booty, we all get really upset.
We sit up and take notice, don't we?
We do. And you know what? It's time. My God, let's get real.
It's just a story we've bought into, Catherine. And I was saying about this client of mine who could not say the word God. I said, you know what? God doesn't care what to call God.
Right.
Source does not care. Source, light, the I am. So I said, you know what? Call God Charlie. And he looked at me and he said, I can do that. I said, go pray to Charlie.
Yes.
And 3 years later, I've never seen anyone so connected to Source. Of course, he doesn't call him Charlie anymore. He just uses the word light. We've got ourselves so tangled up in other people's idea of who we are. We have forgotten how magnificent we are. Put your little paw, put your hand on your tummy, and remember who you are. I don't need to be sitting in a room to see your spirit guides. I can see them.
I think that's just fantastic. And, you know, I just want to say, Rachel, that having had a private session with Rachel, that was my experience too, is your vision, your intuition is right on. And what I am especially impressed about is that we've come to a point where people are not seeking out mediums or psychics or healers simply to do, you know, the carnival type, what do you call it, or fortune telling. You know,
right.
It hasn't got anything to do with that. It's to do with our own personal growth, because we're at this big shift and it feels like we just need a little bit of help to get moving on our own path.
I don't want to be the person that people come through to get their lives. I'm here to show you how you can physically see your own guides and get the wisdom that they're there to help you with.
Does everyone have guides?
Absolutely. We all have 5 major guides, and then we have guides that come in through our life to work on little projects with us. And we may or may not have had a physical lifetime with the guide. We have what we call our main CEO, what I call CEO guide. And when I don't know what to do in a certain situation, I just ask my CEO guide to send me the guide I need.
Now, is a guide different than an angel, or is it
Absolutely.
one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Angels are like God's right arm. Those are the archangels.
And do we all have an angel around us too?
We have thousands of angels around us.
Wow.
Thousands.
It must be pretty crowded on that dimension.
It's wonderful. And, you know, just because, just like this radio show that we're having right now, Catherine,
yes,
the people that are listening to us can't see us, and yet they're trusting what they hear is coming from human beings. Well, just because you can't see us doesn't mean it's not true.
Right.
Just because you can't physically see thousands of angels standing around you doesn't mean it's not true. And that's what trusting in yourself. And your spirit guides are around you all the time. And no, they don't see you when you're brushing your teeth or having sex. They don't care.
Well, it's all energy, right?
It's energy. They see you on your energetic level. And when you're in joy, they rejoice. And when you struggle, they're standing behind you, lifting you up and holding you and begging you to ask them for guidance.
So, Rachel, if people want to work with you on an individual basis. Now, I know when I talk to you over the phone, and that was perfect. But I know actually talked to Debbie Colleen yesterday, and she mentioned a workshop that you're doing together. But and we can talk about that some more. But on an individual basis, if people come to you because I'm just going to throw out some stuff. They're stuck in their relationships, or they're stuck in their work, or they don't know where to go, or they're looking for their life purpose, or is that the kind of thing that...
I do everyday solutions where people can bring in these guidance realms. I introduce them to a guide. I never quite know which guide is going to show up. It's always perfect in the moment. And I introduce them. I teach you how to ask for guidance. And it's not the asking. None of us have a problem with the asking. In fact, it turns into begging.
Right.
what I share with people is in the listening. Anybody can ask, and people say, well, I don't get answers. Yes, you do. You just didn't hear them.
And can you ask for, you know, if your hearing is not that great, as some people's is, can you be specific and say, you know, give me some kind of a sign that's really clear so that I cannot misunderstand? Does that help, or is it?
Yes, absolutely, you can do that. And when I say listening, Catherine, sometimes, thank you for bringing that up and pointing that out to me. I'm so used to listening in a certain way. Here's what I mean by listening. Listening is not done with the human ear. I mean, what would happen if you lost your human hearing? Now what? You're cut off from your guides?
Right.
Of course not. So that's where I share with people. It's about feeling. We all know the difference. I mean, we learn this at what, 3 years old, the difference between right and wrong. We know innately what's right. And then we let that information travel up to our brain and talk ourselves out of things because it doesn't make sense.
Well, and with children, sometimes it's when we're children, we think something's right, we feel it's right, we go in that direction, and then society or parents or whatever tells us we're not right, we're wrong, we're
correct.
You know, and that gets reinforced over and over again, so that by the time you're an adult, you have very little confidence in your inner voice. You wait for the outside world to define you, to tell you if what you're doing is right.
Exactly. And so you ask a 2-year-old, I don't know, you know, for those of you out there that have had 2-year-olds in your life, try and get a 2-year-old to tie his shoe or put on a jacket if he doesn't want to.
You're so right.
And the first thing he says to you is, I don't want to. And then we start the battle of the ego at 2 years old. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, you do. And on it goes until you turned into a battle of wills.
Well, I have seen parents who actually do feel like they can let that child express himself. I don't want to, so they wouldn't put the coat on, and out they go outside. And then society, the teacher, well, the two, you don't have a teacher, but yeah, you know, people that you would meet along your way. What's wrong with that mother, or what's wrong with that father? That child's out there without a coat on. You know, and not recognizing when the child is cold, he's going to want his jacket, yes, or coat.
Yeah. And maybe what he meant was to say to you, I don't want the purple one, I want the blue one.
Right.
So let him pick out, if he wants to go out in stripes and polka dots and checks, who cares? Who cares? You know, the children that are coming on the planet now, the little crystalline ones and the little indigo ones, and that are coming on the planet, don't forget, they were your grandfather 2 lifetimes ago. I once watched, I was in a store many years ago, and I watched this father leaning down to his, I guess maybe a 5 or 6 year old little boy, and he's giving him what for? And the child looked up and started to laugh. And he looked up at his father and he said, remember when I was your dad and I yelled at you like that last time?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, you know, my upbringing, which was Roman Catholic, and for many years I had the belief that there was no such thing as reincarnation. Of course, I came to learn later that that's not necessarily the church's teaching way back. It's one of those man-made rules, but nevertheless,
control.
Yeah, exactly. And I had the hardest time at first getting that concept of reincarnation, and then all of a sudden one day it became so clear that there was no going back. I could never ever believe that this was all there was to it, especially because what you said earlier, you know, you have certain gifts and talents that come so easy. Where could you never learned it in this lifetime. And,
of course.
You know, I've seen that in other people where it's just an automatic gift. They just automatically, a child will pick up a tool and use it with such skill and precision. And you know that didn't come from this lifetime. So,
where would a 3-year-old child be able to get on Carnegie Hall stage and play piano if he hadn't learned it in another lifetime?
yes, exactly. And
Where
so,
would Tiger Woods be today if he hadn't learned how to hit a ball into the air and go into a hole?
well, since we're on this, what do you think then is are we coming back to, because we didn't get our lessons right? Is this a karmic thing? Is this why do we keep coming back?
Okay. Oh, I love this question. This is awesome. We could do a whole show just on this. And by the way, one of the things I help people when I help them move through their life's questions is when they're struggling with something, their guides and my guides show me the lifetime where that struggle originated from. And it plays like a video in front of my eyes. And they take that part of the lifetime and they show me exactly what happened. I share that with my client and I watch transformation happen instantly in front of me.
So what's playing out in this lifetime sometimes is from a previous lifetime.
Many, many times I have discovered that the challenge people have that are current. They pick bad relationships.
Right.
The only thing that changes is the face.
Right.
So that is something that came from another lifetime. When you have current challenges, I can almost guarantee that it's come from another lifetime.
So patterns of poverty could have probably come from...
Oh, absolutely. Oh, that's an easy one.
Well, I was thinking that with the current situation on planet Earth, what occurs to me is that, because this is just coming to me, but we are moving into this new period of time where prosperity will be the new norm. So I was thinking that with 7 billion or so people on the planet and the issue of poverty being so in our face, perhaps everyone who's here has had some kind of an issue with poverty in the past. Would that...
It's also a global consciousness too. Every single religion, if you will, or culture, I like that word better.
Okay.
Every culture believes in reincarnation. In the books that are written of a religious nature, you will see inferences to both angels and reincarnation. It's on every culture. And Aboriginal peoples don't discuss, it's just part of their lives. They are so in tune with what we call Mother Nature. They don't see themselves separate from anything. And when a tree loses its leaves, we don't go and cut it down because we think it's dead. It just comes back in the spring.
Right.
We're no different.
I was just thinking that when you brought up the Aboriginal cultures, your name, Rachel White Seeing Owl,
yes,
has an Aboriginal aspect to it.
Yes.
Was it given to you, or is it... How did you get that name?
Okay. It's actually my second name. My first name that I was given was Little Tree Child. And that's when I was first starting out professionally doing this work. As a child, I used to go out in the woods and play with my spirit guides, and many of them were native, and I thought everybody could see spirit guides. And I'd literally go out in the woods, and we'd play games, and they taught me so many things about living in nature. And I used to be surrounded by rabbits and deer and beavers. And I thought everybody lived like this. And then when I got in my 20s, I realized that I was different. And it was very lonely, and I had a lot of challenges with how people viewed me.
Very lonely?
Very lonely. I've shed a lot of tears in my life just out of loneliness, and I still have challenges with that sometimes.
Because you are so different?
And we're all finding each other, thank God. So I'm two cultures in this lifetime. Half of me is a native culture, born, and the other half is Jewish. So I get to tell people that I get to eat salmon 2 different ways. Box candy.
Oh, that's great.
It is. I remember I was in terms of sightseeing, I was doing a ceremony. And in the middle of the ceremony, it was only 5 people present. It was a very powerful evening. And as I was talking, something literally, and I'm risking here, it's a wonderful time. I felt something come through me on the deepest soul level. Words escape me in this moment. But I knew I was looking through an owl's eyes. And I could see things that were far beyond what the naked eye could see.
Well, isn't that like shamanism?
It is. It is. And I was gifted that name by an elder who happened to be there. And I'm still so honored by this name. And it brings me a lot of humbleness, for lack of a better word. I am humbled by this name. And
yeah, it sounds like it's real. It's an honor, and
it is an honor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So people don't just go and pick their name; it's given to them. It's a gift.
Correct.
Right.
And the universe, a name. When we do our prayers, for instance, I have a way of praying. I let Creator know who's talking, and I start my prayers with Wonkatonka. It is Rachel White Seeing Owl. And then I feel Wonkatonka come to me. I feel the presence of God as one with me. And I am not alone in this. So when we pray, put your shoulders back and your chest out, and put your head up and say, God, it is I. And follow with your name.
Wow, I can just feel that energy when you say that.
Yes.
That's a real lightening. And, Rachel, I think we're probably coming to the end of our interview time. But so I want to, we've covered a lot of territory, and it looks to me like we've got a lot of territory yet to cover. So I want to make sure the callers know that we are, Rachel, you've agreed to come back for another show or several other shows where we'll be able to open the lines to callers.
Yes.
And then we can get into some of the specific topics like the Akashic Records and reincarnation and so forth.
Yes.
But just to, bring this to more, I want to bring it to, there is hope for because there's a lot of people concerned. We're in January 2012 now, and I see it as an awesome year. But there's people that, as you've said, are feeling lonely. They're feeling confused. They're feeling that we're in chaos, and what can we do? And I just want to say that people like you that are out there willing, you've stepped out, you're being seen, and you have the wisdom to assist people to really grab a hold of life and live it.
And remember who they are.
Yes, and remember who they are. And so it's very easy to connect with you and to have sessions with you. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
So they can go to, on my website, there's a link to Rachel's website, which is meetguides.com.
www.meetguides.com. Guides, MEETGUIDES.com.
Wonderful. And so they can do it by phone. They can, you know, a session is what, usually an hour?
Usually an hour and a half.
Okay. And then
they can meet a guide. We'll have a open conversation. No foo-foo dust. It's real with practical things they can walk away starting immediately to just live the life they've always wanted and are destined to have.
Okay, and what about in person?
And in person, they can get in touch with me through my website and come and see me in person. They can call me on the telephone once we sort of email back and forth. I'll arrange that in any way I can be of service.
And now tell us about this workshop you're doing with Debbie Colleen. What is that, and where can people sign up?
You'll see our workshops on my website, and here's an offer that's an open offer. I'm just going to put this out there, and there's no time limit on it. It's just going to be forever and ever, amen.
Okay.
Here, I don't believe in time limits.
All right, paying attention now.
So, if you, our callers, put a minimum of 4 people together and make themselves the 5th one, a minimum, we will do the meet, I call it Seeing is Believing workshop. I will do a workshop where you will physically see your guides. I'm told that I've done this workshop for so many years, and I'm going to say 98% of the time, 98% of the people that attend this workshop are physically seeing a guide before they leave.
Wow.
My
Phenomenal.
offer is, if you put 4 people together, I will give the person to put the 4 people together the workshop, which is a $100 value, for free.
Holy smokes, that's fantastic. What a lovely gift. Yes, Rachel, that is really awesome. And that is you're in British Columbia, correct?
I'm in a town called Langley, British Columbia. It's about an hour east of Vancouver, British Columbia. And I have a car that has motor and 4 tires and pretty much drive anywhere.
Well, people can connect with you and make those arrangements, but I think that's a fantastic offer.
And in Alberta, for our Alberta listeners, you know, I can come to Edmonton or Calgary or whatever, and well, let's workshop together in Edmonton and put a group together. I don't care, have a hall, it'll all work out.
Right. Well, I think that's something we can look forward to, and
airplanes go in 2 directions.
Yes, at least 2.
There you go.
Well, and I think this is what we really are at the point. That's my feeling, and that's my feeling with Let's Get Real Radio, is that it's time to have these conversations. It's time to take this out of the dark ages and move it into where, I mean, we're talking about light workers. Let's lighten up and have some fun and really, you know, empower our fellow human being on this great journey.
The guides are standing around just begging to meet you all. They want to get in touch with you. And remember that what you want, what you seek, seeks you.
Wow.
What you seek, seeks you.
That is amazing. That is so
Remember,
powerful.
what you think about is going to happen. So what you seek, if you're seeking despondency and despair, it's looking for you too.
Wow.
And if you're seeking joy and abundance and powerful, ecstatic, jump up and down, it's seeking you too.
Okay, well, on that note, I want to just ask you one question that I've heard this from several people about I heard this just recently, and I really wanted to understand this. They said that a person who is really in joy or in peace or whatever. The masters is what this person was saying. The masters do not have these senses of highs and lows. Like if you're really excited about something, really ecstatic, really over the top, then you're not actually accepting what is. And I'm going to just tell you from my point of view, I don't accept that, because I love to be in a state of ecstasy, in a state of absolute and utter hysterical joy. And I can't imagine that that is not a true, you know, that wouldn't be true.
And that's our natural state is bliss.
Yeah.
You know, I swim with wild dolphins. Their natural state is bliss and harmony. And here's a little try on for you. When we hear things like you did, Catherine, that didn't resonate with you, A, it wasn't meant for you.
Right.
And B, it's a way of showing you that we don't have to believe the stories.
I think that's very important, is that we have to learn to trust our...
That's your story.
Yes.
You know?
Well, I had to say
an aspect of God, and each one of us shines a different ray so that God can be realized. When I want to have a really good joke about who I am as a human being, not as my beautiful spirit life, but just the humanness.
Yes.
I go into a store and try on bathing suits.
Okay.
You want to have some fun with yourself? Go try on bathing suits in full fluorescent lighting.
Oh, and if you could do that and laugh, boy.
My face off in the dressing room. And they're wondering, what on earth is that woman doing? And make sure you put on a bathing suit that's half a size too small.
Isn't that usually what we do? Oh my goodness.
You know? And then take a look. And then realize, you know, it's just a game. Lighten up.
Well, and that's just another analogy, though, for trying to fit into something that doesn't fit, that isn't us. I mean, it is hilarious when you think about it. We've been doing that for eons, trying to fit ourselves into the constraints of someone else's or society's or whatever conditioning and beliefs, and it doesn't fit. No wonder we are laughing and feeling uncomfortable.
Do you remember as children, Catherine, you'd come, you know, if you lived out in the country, you'd come across a snake, old skin. You found it all exciting, like, what is this? It's so cool.
Yes.
You don't see the snake. It just sheds the skin and moves on. It doesn't sit there and go, oh my God, what happened? What do I do with the skin? And how come I can't fit into it? And why doesn't it fit? And it doesn't turn around and try and get back into it. Go, oh, I lost it. It just moves on.
I love that.
It's true, isn't it?
It is true. I love it.
You know, a lobster, I'm from down east. A lobster loses a claw for whatever reason. It doesn't lament. Oh my God, I better get to a surgeon. It just grows another claw and moves on. And it doesn't wonder how it's growing the claw or why it's growing the claw or how it's going to happen. You know, nature is here to teach us. Well, we are Mother Earth's steward, not their boss.
So you're, just to sort of wrap this up, I want to come to a positive conclusion, because it feels like we're talking about positive evolution here. What would you say to the callers if you had one piece of wisdom more than what you've already shared that you'd like to leave them with today?
I would say this: remember, darling, beautiful little lights who are my brothers and sisters. Remember that you are one, just one.
Wow.
And I love you.
That is fantastic. You have been listening to Let's Get Real Radio, chatting with Catherine, and our guest today has been Rachel White Seeing Owl. You can check out our links on the websites, and we look forward to our next interview. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you all for listening. And I look forward to seeing you all out there in cyberspace, and let's all go surfing.
That sounds great.